Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Sherry Dark-Goudeau, and welcome. You usually see me on TouchTone Tuesdays at noon. And out of that segment was born something called Tell Your Story, which you're going to see another segment of that on tonight. We introduced it with Minister Yolanda Punch. And if you guys missed that on this Tuesday, it was amazing. Go back and look at that. But we have a very special guest, one that's near and dear to my heart, and been that way for a few years and officially about 15 months ago. So a little bit more than that. But tonight, you get to meet and see and hear a little bit of my sweetie story. We talked about this maybe a year ago. And during that time, we just kind of brushed past it. But the closer it got, it became this story. So tonight we welcome you to tell your story, and we're going to start with him. So how you doing?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
I like the ma'am. It
Mm.
always makes me laugh. Okay, well, good, good. I'm glad you're here. Glad you agreed to share a bit of your story, which I know, but it's always amazing when I hear it coming from you one more time. And so tonight, what we hope to do, and what I think you will do, in fact, that's what I know you'll do, is inspire somebody with your walk, with your life. So, with that being said, we have Marvin Gerard Goudeau. And
Hello.
so, tell us, who is Marvin Goudeau?
Well, first of all, I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a father. I'm a husband, and I'm responsible today. I'm responsible in many, many ways, and I'm blessed to be where I'm at. So I have a little bit to say, and I believe the purpose of our story is going to be that you can overcome.
Mhm.
There's always hope. We might get into a situation where you're in a hopeless state of mind, but you're only in a hopeless state of mind that could change.
Mhm. At a moment's notice. So, that being said, things can change at a moment's notice. You've done a lot in your life, you've accomplished a lot, but there was a time when you were challenged. And so tell us a little bit about that challenge that brought you to this place, but not in the same state that you were in when you met it. So, what challenge was that challenged your faith?
Well, um, I honestly believe I'm gonna be challenged for the rest of my life because
Mhm.
I'm so close to returning. I'm never going to expect to be out of it.
Mm.
I'm always have to be aware. Well, I was involved with crack cocaine, alcohol also, but that crack cocaine, uh, it took me for a long, long ride. And I'm so grateful today that I can speak about it.
Mhm.
Today, I'm grateful to like maybe share with you where I've been, and hopefully that somebody that's listening to me don't have to go exactly the route that I went.
Mhm. Yeah. So, how old were you when you were introduced to crack cocaine?
The first time I hit crack cocaine, I might have been 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how did you get introduced to that?
Well, it was a family gathering, and it was supposed to be entertaining.
Mm.
So yes, I wasn't clubbing.
Mm.
It was introduced through I mean, like somebody that loved me didn't know that it was going to take us through the changes it took us through.
Mm.
So yeah, so it was a family member that I was introduced,
Mm. So, that family member, someone that you looked up
looked
to.
up to. Very,
Um,
yeah. Yes,
um,
I did.
so, at the time, I'm trying to go back to, I guess, a 13-year-old mind. Did you think that was cool? Was that the end thing,
I
or you
thought it
didn't
was.
even know?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was what to do. I wanted. I wanted to dress. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to have the money. I wanted to have the car. So if I saw them doing what they was doing,
Mhm.
of course I wanted that also.
Mm.
So I asked, and they said no, but I was persistent, and I constantly asked, and it's like, okay, here you go.
So you're 13, and this is your first trip,
Yes, ma'am.
and so I know we've heard people say, "Oh, that high, that thing." Um, but what was your experience at 13, and is it true that that high you keep chasing every
What
single time? Is that so, or is that just something we've heard?
that high came later because at the moment when I was first introduced to the drug,
Mhm,
I had a taste of the drug,
mhm,
and it seemed like everything was okay.
mhm,
So later in life, when that same drug came up, I'm like, well, I've done it before and I was okay. So I
mhm,
want to do it again.
mhm,
And I believe that's when I may have indulged like greater,
mhm,
and I got that high that I wanted again.
mhm.
Yeah, so I thought it because I'd done it before that the next time that I was introduced to it, which was a few years later, I said, well, heck, I hadn't handled it before, so I can handle it again.
Mm.
And the story goes on.
Goes on. Is that the only drug that you were introduced to a
Oh,
couple of years later?
heck
Or
no.
no?
It was crack cocaine, powder cocaine, hash, marijuana, and alcohol.
Mm, mm. So, of all of that mixture, that cocktail, what kept going?
The alcohol and the crack cocaine.
Mm,
That was a continuous issue.
um,
The hash was only around for a little while.
mhm,
The powder was only, because it's like, I guess I like the hard stuff more than I did like the powder stuff. So um, it was available, but yes, alcohol and crack cocaine is what continued in my life.
mhm. So you're very young. Do your parents know, or do they perceive that something is different, something is off with you?
They purse, they wallet,
Mhm.
it was different.
Wow.
Uh, yes, because not at first, everything is entertaining at first,
Mm,
but in time, when I wanted that high, I thought it was okay to get a couple of dollars from my mom, get a couple of dollars from my dad, get a couple of dollars from my sister, get a couple of dollars from my brother.
mhm,
But it was always support.
mhm.
What I was turned on to in entertainment.
Wow.
But now it's like a growth inside of me, a hunger inside of me that I
Mhm,
wasn't aware of that I was chasing.
mhm, mhm. So this goes on 13, a couple of years later, a little bit more, but then continues through.
Well, I've had years in between
Mhm,
to where it's like no one actually knew when I started and my parents was missing money, I stopped.
mhm,
So it's like, okay, well, maybe they was like misplacing it,
mhm,
later in life, maybe within 5 years or something, when I picked it up again.
mhm,
I was actually on my own, but it's like things showed
mhm,
my actions, my isolation.
It's a big word,
Yeah.
isolation. Yeah.
It was like I said, at first it was entertainment,
Mhm,
but then it's like all thing I wanted was the drug and to be at home, and I didn't worry about anything else. It's like, where you at? What are you doing?
mhm.
And I go to lives. I go to, you know,
The cover story.
the course tour.
Wow. Wow. So when did your parents figure out? Like, how old were you?
I had to be maybe about 25 when they actually suspected something.
Mhm,
And I lied, of course.
mhm,
I love my parents and I didn't want to hurt them. But through repeatedly lying, I gave it up. I told, well, my mom had already passed, but I told my dad what I was doing, looking for help. So,
How'd your dad take that?
not well at all.
Uh,
Um, Today I know, I mean, not saying that I should not have included my dad, but what I didn't do at the time was I didn't include God.
mm,
You know, my father was hurt. He was hurt to where he didn't understand what to do.
mm,
So his pain and my pain, both of those pains, and without God, we separated.
mm,
So it was painful on him because he didn't see me. It was painful on me because I didn't see my father.
mm.
And at the time, I was just like, I was alone. I was that lost sheep.
Wow. Wow.
I was
So more isolation,
more isolation.
and now topped with pain. Your mom's gone, so I'm sure there's some grief in there as well.
Yes,
And you looked up to your dad as well.
of course.
And so now this is another person that you looked up to, one that kind of got things started, and now one in the middle that we're hoping things would stop, but there's no understanding. And so there's isolation, now separation, pain, and we're back in. So are you working at this time?
I'm working at the time and I'm trying to save my job. I'm like, if I tell my dad what I'm doing,
Mhm.
I'm going to stop.
Wow.
But what happened is when I told my dad, I went into farther isolation. I went farther in the hole.
Mhm.
I dug a deeper hole.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't come out like I was expecting to come out.
Mhm.
So the job that I was, the life that I was seeking,
Mhm.
the release, to being free of this addiction that I was under, that I wasn't even aware that I was under, because I thought I was just entertaining myself,
Mhm.
but I grew deeper and deeper and deeper. I dug a deeper hole.
Wow.
Telling my father was a way to get out, but I went further into isolation.
Because he couldn't
He
understand.
didn't understand,
Mhm. So
and
was this
because I heard it,
embarrassment with your
it was
family?
embarrassment. My family was with where we were, with just through pulled off the. It was horrible.
Mhm.
I wasn't supposed to be where I was at. I was
Wow.
supposed to be better than that.
Mhm.
And I mean, of course, my dad had expectations
Mhm.
and didn't want to see his son in that situation. But what I know today, I made it worse than made it better.
Mhm.
I didn't go by it the right way.
Mhm.
My dad, he wasn't a drug user or ex-drug user.
Mhm.
So when I told him about my usage, that wasn't it didn't benefit anything.
Mhm. Because he couldn't really register.
He couldn't he didn't register the way I
Mhm.
it didn't help.
Mhm. Mhm. So now you're more isolation. We said separation. Your family is now just kind of frustrated, not knowing what to do. Do you, and you have a job, you mentioned,
Yes.
and your job, you told your job.
I told my job and I went to rehab.
How was that?
Um at the moment, all I wanted was the heat to die down. It was like everything they were saying about Marvin Goudeau. I didn't want that reputation. I wanted the high,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted that heat off of me. So only when I told my job when I went to rehab, I wanted the respect that I lost, but I wanted to keep the high also.
Mm.
It don't go together.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I eventually lost that job.
Wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't do both.
Wow. Wow. So you basically just went through, as we would say, or some would think maybe just going through the motions
I went through the motion.
of the rehab to get the heat off me.
Yes,
Okay, I can do everything y'all want me to do and still have my thing going on over here,
that's what I
as
tried.
long as y'all don't know.
That's what I tried.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did that last?
Not a year, not even a year, maybe
Mm,
a few months.
a few months.
A few months before it's like the sky finally on top of my head and pushed me completely down.
Wow. Wow. So what is it? You know, you're going through this. Um, what is it that finally said enough is enough? I mean, you're struggling here. And you go for how many more years?
I went many years,
Okay.
many years
Hmm.
beyond losing that great job, beyond losing the respect of my father, beyond losing the respect of my family, my friends. I went many years,
Hmm.
and the consequences got greater.
It's like jail.
Incarceration, yes, ma'am.
Oh wow.
But even after that, I
Hmm.
still wanted to do it my way.
So you come out
And
of
I
jail
went back.
and you went back to jail.
I wasn't taking care of my responsibility with my kids.
Hmm.
Now I can like what you know what I'm saying, I can elaborate and say, well, she wasn't doing this and she wasn't doing that, but at the same time I wasn't doing my part.
Hmm.
I wasn't being the responsible father that I should have been.
Hmm.
So um, yeah, I went to jail a couple of times behind not taking care of my child support.
Hmm.
And um, in time, it finally hit upstairs to where I didn't want to continue to live like this.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it took so much. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because I want to do what I want to do.
So were you open to listening to anyone?
I was open to listening, but when I was open to listening, I wanted to like figure out how to do what I want to do.
So you were really open to
No,
listening.
I was listening, but that was just to improve my game.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it don't work.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just don't work. No matter how great I thought I was getting better at doing what I was doing, the consequences still come with that.
They came with it.
It came with it.
So we're talking about addiction. We're talking about using illegal drugs. In your case, crack cocaine was it
Yes.
for you. But now with that, were you also selling, or were you just
I was a
using?
user.
Okay.
I tried. I tried to sell,
Yeah.
but I got this phrase from the street or whatever. And please excuse me, say all monkeys can't sell bananas. I get me a little package talking about I'm gonna sell, I'm gonna try to come up. And that didn't work.
It did work.
I was just smoking.
Okay. Okay. So you were consuming all the bananas.
I
here.
was consuming all the bananas.
Okay. We got you. We got you. So
It is what it is.
we're here, and the consequences come, but that doesn't stop you. Family is now separated. That doesn't stop you.
No.
You're isolated. That doesn't stop you. So when does the rubber meet the road? When did it say, "Hey, this has been too long"?
After time after time after time, loss of weight, hunger, losing job after job after job. I was in decent relationships, but I was controlled by this drug.
Mhm.
So if I couldn't do my drug and be with the person that it just didn't work out.
Just didn't work out. So what happened to say, "This is it. Today is the day. I'm done."
I got tired.
You got tired. Was there anything going on? You mentioned some physical things, weight loss, hunger.
Yeah.
What was, and all the pain? Did you?
I got tired.
You just got tired of
I
it.
got tired. I got tired. Um, I respect those that was around me,
Mhm.
but I was being disrespected.
Mm.
I mean, physically, was able to handle myself on the street, but I was putting myself in positions to where I could actually have been hurt.
Mm.
To where like everybody don't want to fight.
Right.
I'm blessed to have the parents, the brother and the sister that I have that taught me how to protect myself. And I think that's how I last so long out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was putting myself in situations I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So um, get, I got tired.
You got tired of
I got tired, yeah.
it.
The job, everything that I had, I quit.
Mm.
I quit. I packed my, oh, it was a blessing to have a little car. No insurance, very little gas. But I put all my things that I could put in that car and I left town. I had to seek God. I went looking for God, not knowing that God was with me that whole time.
Hmm.
So yes, I packed up and I left.
Wow. So where were you going?
I was going to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They got a program in Houston. I forgot the name of the program,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a spiritual program,
Mm.
and I knew that was my way out.
Mm.
But I had to get out of my comfort zone
Wow.
in order
Wow.
to get myself together.
Yeah.
I didn't end up in Houston. I made it halfway, and I got relatives or whatever, and my relatives they had more understanding about my situation
Mm-hmm.
than I found somebody that I could relate to.
So they had more understanding about your addiction than you thought.
Than I thought.
Mm.
So we began to pray. We began to go into church. Um, in time, in time, I was able to give that drug to God and build my confidence.
So what year was this? Because we stopped with the 20s, and then there's just like a mad dash over the years, just blurred, and then that day. So
This had to begin. This had to be the beginning of 2016.
hmm,
It's when I left my hometown
okay,
and
the comfort zone.
I left my comfort zone,
Mhm.
seeking that relationship with God. I had to go find God.
Mhm.
I don't care if I had to go sit in the woods. It didn't matter. I just had to leave where I was at. That's what I felt that I had to do. But thank you, Jesus, that I got out of my comfort zone and I'm where I'm at now.
So we're talking age 13. If we do the math, somewhere around 45, 46 age. So we're talking 30 plus years.
Yes, that's a long time.
And so what would you say to somebody, because you made a decision, come out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to be accessible. You meet family members and they say I got something, and you start a walk, a journey towards healing, sobriety.
I was carrying issues that I didn't think I could get through.
Hmm.
As long as I ran from the situations that I was in,
Mm-hmm.
I never was able to put it behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Until I faced my situation,
Mm-hmm.
until I went through that fire, the hell that I put myself in.
Oh.
Like my dad said, you made your bed hard. You need to lay there.
Mm-hmm.
Until I laid there and made things better, then I was able to get out.
Wow.
But I ran for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and running didn't help
Mm-hmm.
because that situation was still facing me. I still had to face that situation.
So after the high, it was still there.
After the years, after the high, everything that I was running from was still right there, and I had to face it. Once I got through my issues, as far as not taking care of my responsibilities,
Mm.
when I manned up,
Mm.
when I said this is enough,
I like that phrase.
then I was able to start gaining and stop losing.
Mhm. So do you see your walk, your journey in faith as a part of that?
My faith, yes, 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 yes. Because without faith, I wouldn't have begun to improve.
Mhm.
All along, I knew that God is what I needed, and I needed to practice instead of just saying, "Oh, this." Oh, I had to put some work in.
Mm.
I couldn't just keep sitting there running my mouth.
Mhm.
I had to put the effort in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it couldn't be lip service anymore.
lip service was dead.
Mm. Mm. And faith was alive.
Faith was alive. Faith was alive the whole time.
Mhm.
It just I had to stop and put the work in.
Mhm. So you put this work in from 2016, and obviously it's still a journey.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's still a journey. But what would you say to encourage someone? What would you say to that 13-year-old if you had the opportunity to talk to a 13-year-old little boy that's looking up to someone who's about to start it? What would you say to the 16-year-old who's being introduced to hash? What would you say to that 25-year-old who's got a great job and now got to tell your parents? What would you say to that person who's 45, 46, and still struggling? What would you say?
Do not take the first hit. It is not the entertainment that it seemed to be. Do not take that first hit. You fit to go on a ride and it might last so long to where you don't survive it. I got friends that's no longer here today that started the same time I started. Don't take the first hit. The person that maybe want to give it to you, they're not going to tell you that you fit to disrespect your parents, you fit to disrespect the people that you love, you fit to not grow up and pay your bills, you fit to, you're not going to be responsible. It's a it's a downfall. You are going down. Do not take the first hit. It is not what it seemed to be. The person that may have it, that might be dressed good, looking good, got money, got car, they don't have it for long. But you don't know that. No.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So, for someone who's still struggling, would you tell them, would you tell them maybe they think it's too late? I've been in this for so long, there's no hope for me.
It's
What would you
never
say?
it's never too late. Seek God, get into a spiritual program, get into a program. I mean, everybody is not, you don't have to be a spiritual program, but just get the positive program. Get active, get out the house, do something for somebody else. And when put your habit down, and when you want it, get busy with something.
Mm.
Do something positive.
Wow.
If it's just cutting your grass, if it's just taking a shower,
Wow.
do something. Don't just sit there and wait on that knock on that door. Get up, move around.
Mm. Wow. So, for you, it sounds like you had a pretty good circle of support and family when you were ready to come out.
I had support within the church. I had support in the AA, NA. I had support. See, my family didn't know how to support me.
Mhm.
They were still heartbroken
Mhm.
and probably still heartbroken today.
Mhm.
But my past is my past.
That's good. That's good.
So
That's
I pray
good.
that, they forgive me or they realize that today I'm not that person.
Mhm.
Because when I was that person, it's because I was consuming.
Mhm.
That wasn't me.
Mhm.
That was what I was consuming. So you have to get active in a positive way,
Mhm.
and don't pick up. When you want to pick up, make a phone call. Find somebody you can talk to that's not going to sit there and make you maybe feel worse than what you already feeling. Maybe y'all can joke about something. Maybe you can play dominoes. Maybe you could do something. But you have to get active. You have to speak to somebody that you can relate to, and don't pick up. And when you do it one day, the next day, don't pick up. It's not, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life. Don't worry about that. Just don't pick up today. And then tomorrow, don't pick up. Just a little bit at a time.
So moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
Day by day.
Yeah, we're going to go by moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
And when you can get to day to day, then that's an improvement.
That's good news.
But moment by moment.
Yeah,
we're going to start right there. Don't pick up.
What do you hope as you look in the mirror now, going forward, as you started off at the beginning, the blessings you've been afforded in spite of? We all have an in spite of, by the way. We all have a past, by the way, even if it was 5 minutes ago. It's your past. And so with that being said, my past may not be yours may not be mine, but it is something. And as we bring you more of these segments of Tell Your Story, you will hear from people with all walks of life. Tonight, we're just talking about addiction, which is one of those many areas of many people's past and some of their today, some of their struggles. What would you say about the struggle?
The struggle is real. The devil is alive. What's difficult is going forward and not picking up. But you can do it. You can do, with God, we can do anything. That's a major part in me not picking up. Find something to be responsible for. Find something that you like. That just it's difficult, but it's good. What God say, my path is not easy, but it's the right path. So what we do, we take that path, and when things get difficult, read a little bit and find somebody that you can relate to, that can encourage you. Stay positive.
Stay positive. So, wow, what a testimony. What a testimony. I thank you. We get to talk all the time, y'all. So this is him. This is his heart. As you can see, he's very passionate when he talks about that. But also just to know that you have not only encouraged me, but you've also encouraged so many others, and you continue to do that. And what I would say to you is to continue to let your light shine. Realize that nothing we've been through is a waste. Earlier, we talked about your word struggle, and you mentioned that you were thankful for the struggle.
Yes.
Because if you had stopped struggling, you never would have gotten here.
Yes.
So we want to say to someone who's still struggling, don't stop struggling. It's a sign that if you keep going, it won't be long before you're out. When you stop struggling, that means we've given in to that particular thing, whatever it is. But as long as there's struggle, that means there's a future. That means there's hope. That means there's a promise. That means that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as long as there's a struggle. So I know we kind of a little bit over our time tonight. I want to keep it a little short for you guys, but if there are any questions, you guys can certainly hit us up in the chat, and he'll answer these questions, whatever you may have. But if you know someone who is struggling with addiction of any type, and y'all, addictions are not just drugs, it's not just alcohol. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's starving from food. Sometimes it's certain behaviors, which can be dangerous. It could be gambling. It could be anything that we tend to, I think his word was indulge, and we overindulge. So whatever that addiction is, It could be, toxic relationships. But whatever that addiction is that keeps us from going forward, that constantly has a hold on us, that keeps us from being as excellent as we know we were made to be and we're purposed to be, then that's a problem. Do what he said this evening. Speak up. Give it a voice. Don't hide behind the shame. Don't let it be so overwhelming to your spirit that you never speak up to anyone about it. He's talking to you about the years that went by, but those years don't have to go by for you. And if you feel like, hey, I've even been in it longer than he has, you don't have to stay in it. He's talking to you about a way out. It's moment by moment. It's reaching out to someone. It's not being afraid. It's coming out of isolation. It's refusing to be separated from those that we love and those who love us. It's refusing to go through the pain another day. That's what it is. And it starts with a decision and then action on that decision. And I love what you said earlier about coming out of your comfort zone, because sometimes it is comfortable to us because that's what we know. That's what we know how to do. And sometimes fear sets in with learning how to be apart from that thing that keeps pulling us down. Believe it or not, even if it's hurting us, it's what we know. So tonight, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Reach out. And in case you guys have something that's maybe a little too personal that you don't want to share here tonight, but you'd like to hit us up a little bit later in the email, and you'd be open to answering that. Okay. And I'm going to
call me, email me.
Put this up. And this is our email that we utilize for the ministry of TouchTone Tuesdays as well. And but you can go to howministriesint@gmail.com. howministriesint@gmail.com. That's Heart of a Woman, but that will come directly to me. I will make sure that he gets it and that we get those questions answered for you. This may be for your son, for your daughter, for your mom, for your dad, for a coworker, a friend, your husband, your wife, or it may be you yourself. But whoever it is, don't be afraid. Put a voice to it. And this was 2016. You made that decision.
Yes, ma'am.
And we actually met at that church in 2016.
I got. What God say that your cup will over. I got more than what I expected. I mean, thank you, Jesus. Yeah. I really did. Yeah. Seeking God, I got a wife. I got more. I got more than I ever thought I would have. But I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to leave what I was. I had to leave the stuff alone. And things, it'll get better. But you got to get out of self.
And he had a growing period, you guys. So he was there at the church for maybe a year, and then he went to work and in another state and was gone for a few years before he actually came back. But God did a work in that time frame, and we actually met again in 2019 after a storm, y'all. So a storm blew him in, and he never left. And we're kind of excited.
Not going anywhere either.
We don't want you to either.
I'm not going.
We don't want you to. So that's a little bit of our story as well. So just thank all of you for joining us on tonight. We will be sharing more of these types of inspirational stories on Tell Your Story. Some of you we see hitting us up in the chat box. We'll be connecting with some of you as we want some of your stories out there too. And I believe that's where it starts. I believe that's where it starts. And I know that many of our faith journeys are very different, but the commonality is that somebody sometimes asks us, do you want to be made whole? And somebody actually sits still long enough to hear the answer, to hear you tell your story, whatever that is. So please join us again on next Thursday. We'll give you guys notifications. If you've enjoyed this, please let someone else know to come to this channel on YouTube on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. to hear those stories. We'll let you know. For right now, we'll be doing them weekly throughout this month as inspiration to us. And after this, we'll probably be doing them twice monthly. But we want to get those stories out there. I don't believe they're all in the tabloid or in the national news or international news. Sometimes the best stories are sometimes next door. So that's what you have, or maybe in the same house.
Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, so this has been Tell Your Story. I'm Dr. Sherry Dark-Goudeau with my hubby, Marvin Goudeau. And thank you so much, sweetie, for sharing such an amazing testimony.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Any parting comments?
I'm good.
Okay, we're good, y'all. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody. I see you guys. See Yolanda there, your sister, Dina, and my great friend, another Yolanda Lawson.
Yeah.
We see them all doing it in. I like this. And Minister Deborah Edwards was here earlier with some other friends. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right. Good night.